Good morning, and welcome back to the One Celtic Fans View. After the performance that we had at the weekend and the misfiring in front of goals, it's imperative that we score as many goals as we can in the Champions League game on Wednesday evening. When we look at the Champions League, Celtic are on course. Well, it's tight, isn't it? Celtic are sitting in 21st position, and we've got to say in the Champions League we've had a bit more draws than I kind of hoped for. There's a few of those draws that I thought may have been wins in the Champions League and would have pushed us ultimately further up the table. We are sitting on 9 points. 12 points is the target. Can we win the game on Wednesday to get to the 12-point target that I said that we would get to? I did say that when we looked at it back in August, yes, back when the draw was made. And that very first game against Slovan Bratislava, we won on the 18th of September, 5-1 at Celtic Park. And then we were in fine form in the league at that time, and it took us forward to Borussia Dortmund. And going to Borussia Dortmund, Celtic fans believed that they could get some kind of result. And the enthusiasm for the support and the media was a bit OTT when we look at what happened on the day. Celtic were ultimately gubbed, thrashed, beaten with a Champions League stick, 7-1. Yeah, brought back down to earth with a result that wasn't expected by Celtic fans, and it's one that kind of put us back in a position of, oh, we're in the big boys club now. And we went to the Atalanta game. Now, I did say before the Champions League started that that was a game. I mean, I thought that we would get beat by Borussia Dortmund because they've just been playing so well in European football for so long. But when you look at Atalanta, who had just came off the back of winning the Europa Cup, I thought winning against them, maybe in Italy, a call too far. But a draw would be acceptable, and a draw would be a fantastic result, and it was. It was a hard-fought 0-0 draw, if you remember, right, at Atalanta back on the 23rd of October. And when you look at it, we thought, right, that gives us a starting block. It gives us 4 points on the board, something that we thought, it's a good starting block. And then we bring Leipzig to Celtic Park on the 5th of November, and we win that one 3-1. And let's be fair, it was all going well. All going well when we thought, yes, next up is Club Bruges. Club Bruges, and we thought, surely we can take Club Bruges at Celtic Park. And we ended up on the 27th of November getting a draw. And that was us going into the busy period. And you've got to say, our form since the Leipzig game just hasn't been the same, has it? And both domestically and in the European context. We haven't been scoring goals for fun, you can say. But anyway, we've got the Club Bruges game at Celtic Park on the 27th of November, just before that really busy period in December, and it was a 1-1 draw. And then we went away. Yes, we did go away on the 10th of December, and it was a 0-0 draw. Yep, 10th of December. Over to Zagreb, freezing cold game, and we managed to get a 0-0 draw. At that point, you kind of felt that, is it slipping away from Celtic? Those two draws combined didn't help us when it came to results. It saw us slip down the table slightly. Before that, we had a chance. We had an absolutely fantastic chance to be seeded. Yes, to finish between the 9th position and the 16th position in the Champions League, which meant that Celtic would have been seeded for the playoff games. But Club Bruges, they're sitting on 19 points, and Celtic are only sitting on 9 points. But when you look at it and you put it into perspective this morning, Real Madrid are sitting on 9 points in the Champions League. Real Madrid have a squad valuation of 1.3 billion. 1.3 billion. Celtic have a squad valuation of something like 150,000 or something, 300,000. I'm not sure what it is. It's buttons, absolute buttons, compared to the 1.3 billion of the team that's sitting just above us in 20th position. Then you've got Manchester City sitting just below us. So should Celtic take umbrage in the fact that we are in the Champions League? And then you've got PSV and Dynamo Zagreb and PSG, big club coming out, and the big spending club coming out of France. And then you've got Stuttgart and Shakhtar Donetsk in 27th. And then you're going to look at the teams that are on 7 points, because ultimately they're the teams that could push Celtic down into that dreaded zone of finishing in 25th. Someone's going to have to drop down, and because PSG will be trying their damnedest in the next two games to win, so it's up to Celtic to try as much as we can to get something from the game. We really need to win it, because when you look at the club that we are playing, young boys, along with RB Leipzig and Slovan Bratislava, have been the whipping boys of the Champions League. Yes, they have been the whipping boys of the Champions League. They have not won a game. And let's hope that that stays the same Wednesday evening at Celtic Park. When we look at transfer news, Alexandro Bernabei has finally sealed his deal, even though it's been done for a couple of weeks now, and we're on the 20th of the month, but it's now been made official that he has left Celtic on a permanent basis by his club in South America, and he's looking forward to playing for them full time. It's a situation where we're still looking at a left back. There's still, as it stands just now, when you put things into perspective, come this summer, if we do not sign Kieran Tierney this window, come the summer, at the end of the season, we will have no left back at Celtic. We are not going to buy Alex Baye from Barcelona, and Greg Taylor looks as if he's now running his contract down. It doesn't look like he's going to sign a contract between now and the end of the season, does it? If he was going to sign it, he would have signed it before now. Will Celtic fold? Is it a game of poker that they're playing, and will Celtic ultimately fold? Or will they manage to get in Kieran Tierney? But even if they do bring in Kieran Tierney, come this summer, we will still need another left back. Let that sink in, because it's something that is a position, and whether you like Greg Taylor or you don't, the fans seem 50-50 split on whether they like Greg Taylor. Fans as a whole have been shouting about Greg Taylor and the need for a left back. And if you look at the players that have came in and tried to play in that position, they've been moved on because they haven't been as good as ultimately what Greg Taylor has managed to be. Will we miss Greg Taylor if he does ultimately leave? But the situation is, it's a position that we've struggled to really get someone to come in and perform at the highest level. Now, people will say, look, Greg Taylor performs at the highest level for you until he steps onto the Champions League. But let's not talk about that, because let's just hope that everyone plays their part and performs ultimately. People are going to have to perform to levels that they haven't been performing to. I mean, the game was a bit better at the weekend, and I don't want to go over old ground with the game at the weekend, because let's face it, we are missing as a team and as a front, we are missing far too many easy chances. Far too many easy chances. And you've got to take your chances, especially at the Champions League level. If we don't take our chances at this level, you know, young boys who have been the whipping boys of the Champions League may come into the game thinking, you know what, we've got 2 games to save our blushes, and this could be one. Celtic are misfiring, and it could be the one that they manage to get a point in. But we need to ultimately treat them the same as Slovan Bratislava. We absolutely demolished them in the Champions League, and I think that we need to do the same. Just to put down a little statement to say, look, you know, we may not be playing good, but when it comes to it, we can up the pace and we can get back to playing fast, attacking, one-touch football that Celtic were renowned for at the start of the season. Everyone was more than happy. Nobody spoke about Brodge ball. Nobody spoke about the side-to-side passing at the beginning of the season. The players seem to have went in a sort of cocoon sometimes, and whether it's the fact that they're feeling the effect of all the games that they've played over the last 2 months. And that's why we need transfers to come in and freshen the squad up. Brendan Rodgers spoke about the fact that there is things ongoing, and I think if it's the only thing that's ongoing that actually comes to fruition is Kieran Tierney, people will think that it's a bit of a disappointing transfer window. Alan Hutton's been talking about Lou Barry, who he saw close up coming through the Aston Villa ranks, and reckons that Celtic will be landing another Patrick Roberts. Well, let's hope that he lasts a bit longer than Patrick Roberts then. But Celtic have placed a bid. They have placed a bid of 5 million and 5 million in further payments, and then an option, also the first option to buy back, a buyback option, which will obviously be set at a certain amount so that Celtic will profit. 21-year-old is viewed as a fantastic prospect, and people will say, well, why aren't we bringing 21-year-olds through our club rather than putting them out on loan? Well, they're obviously not good enough. Now, that's a conversation for another day. Will Celtic manage to get a deal done this week for Lou Barry? And Aston Villa are looking at him. And when you look at it, we're getting to the tail end of the transfer window. I don't think anything will happen until ultimately after the Aston Villa game. We play the game on Wednesday night, and then it does give Brendan Rodgers another week after the Aston Villa and after the Young Boys game, sorry. And the transfer window does close on Monday the 3rd due to the fact that there's European games on Thursday the 30th. So UEFA agreed to extend it until Monday the 3rd because if anyone gets injured at a European game on the Thursday evening, and it's not confirmed to the hospital that a player may be out for 3 or 4 months, it doesn't give them a lot of time on the Friday to try and get any deals done. So that's why it has been extended to Monday the 3rd. And I think that after the Aston Villa game, I would expect Celtic to bring in at least 2 players. They may bring in a player beforehand. It's looking doubtful now. Let's be perfectly honest. It is looking doubtful that we'll get in anybody until after the Aston Villa game. So we're all going to be sitting guessing whether the likes of Aston Villa as well. I mean, they're thinking that they're playing Celtic. Why give Celtic a little moral boost and letting them buy a player? If you're Aston Villa, you're saying, nah, we're not dealing with Celtic until after we've played them. Simple as that. Simple as that. You're not going to give the fans a moral boost when they're heading down to Aston Villa and they're thinking, yeah, we've just bought a player off you for 10 million and that can ultimately improve our squad. Any player that comes in this week ultimately cannot play in the Champions League. So we do have that issue. Any player that comes in will be ready for the next round if we get through to it. Celtic, if they do get through to the knockout phase, will get 1.4 million per game. So it is worth it for Celtic to finish. I mean, ultimately, the Brendan Rodgers and the team set a benchmark of qualifying for the knockout phase. Now, we need to finish in 24th position minimum, and I don't like the fact that if it wasn't Man City, PSV, Dynamo Zagreb, and Paris Saint-Germain all around about us, and if it was other clubs, I thought Celtic might be able to fend them off. It's imperative that Celtic get the 3 points because going to Aston Villa is going to be no mean feat at all. And going to Aston Villa, who themselves in the Champions League, I mean, they're still looking to, they're in 5th position, and they've only lost, out of the last 5 games, they've lost 1 and drawn 1. They've won the other 3. Can Celtic go to Aston Villa and take something off Aston Villa? It's going to be a tough one. For me, the one to look out for in the Champions League this year is still Barcelona. I think that they're the team to watch, even though Liverpool are top in the Champions League, unbeaten. Yes, on 18 points. They're way out in front. But it has been a new format. Tell me in the comment section how you've enjoyed this new format. Do you like it better? The fact that it is a league type format and you've not got the different pots and all the rest of it. It does make it a little bit better. And I think that when you see the amount of clubs that are ultimately on the 12-point mark already, I mean, Aston Villa are on 13. Celtic could have been up there. Celtic could have been up there. If we had turned two of our draws, into wins, we would have been up and in that mix for the top 8. It's as simple as that. We could have been there. And ultimately, if we didn't finish top 8, we knew we would drop down in maybe the lowest point, you'd be finishing 12. So you would be seeded. But it is all about the Champions League, and it is all about massive must-win game again for Celtic on Wednesday night. Make sure you join us in the live tonight at 8 p.m. Celtic Park time, and we'll talk about the fact, will Brendan Rodgers make any changes to the team that started on Saturday? Or will they make any changes to that misfiring front line? Who can you change? There's not many people that you can change around, is there? It shows you how thin the squad ultimately is. Anyway, on that note, have an absolutely fantastic day. Make sure you join me tonight, 8 p.m. Celtic Park time. Have a fantastic day wherever you are, Celtic fans all around the world.